Chosen one, have you felt it? That deep stirring, almost like a whisper in the back of your mind. Something calling to you, something you can't ignore no matter how hard you try. It's always there, isn't it? Pulsing in your chest, echoing in your thoughts, pulling you towards something bigger than yourself. But what if that calling, this grand destiny you've been chosen for, comes with a cost? What if everything you hold dear is about to change in ways you can't even imagine? What if the very thing you've been called to do could destroy everything you've ever known? You're about to find out. And once you do, there's no going back. Not for you. Not for anyone. For as long as you can remember, life has followed the same routine. Wake up, go to work, spend time with friends, but lately something's been different. It started small, just a feeling that something was lurking just beyond your awareness. At first, it was the strange dreams, vivid dreams that felt more like memories, flashes of distant places, faces you've never seen, and whispers in languages you can't understand. You would wake up, breathless, and try to shake it off as just a dream. But it wasn't. It felt real. Then, the signs started happening during your day. The flicker of lights in the corner of your eye. The strange coincidences, like hearing your thoughts spoken aloud by someone nearby. And that nagging feeling that you were being watched. It wasn't paranoia. It was something else. Something you couldn't explain, but it felt like you were being pulled in a direction you didn't understand. It was like an invisible force was guiding you, pushing you towards something you couldn't see yet, but knew you had to find. You started to question, what if this is more than just coincidence? What if I've been chosen for something bigger than I can imagine? And then, the first real vision hit. Not a dream this time. It was broad daylight, and you were wide awake. A flash of light, a figure standing before you. Someone or something familiar but distant, like a distant memory. It was clear, so clear. "You are the chosen one," the figure whispered. But what did that even mean? The weight of it, the power, the pull, it was real. At first, you tried to dismiss the vision as just another dream, another moment of strange, fleeting imagination. But the whispers kept coming. The pull grew stronger. It wasn't a dream, it was a call. The weight of it pressed against your chest, urging you to act. The more you resisted, the more the signs intensified. You began to realize that this wasn't some fluke of fate. You were being chosen for something. A divine mission, one that would change the world. But at what cost? The first time it truly hit you was when you had to make a choice. A decision that would forever alter your life and the lives of everyone around you. You were asked to use your newfound abilities to help someone in need, to heal a wound, to fix what was broken. But when you did, when you reached out with the power you didn't fully understand, something shifted. You saw the ripple effect, the consequences. The person you saved, the life you touched, it didn't just stop there. It spread. The balance of things had been disturbed. And then it clicked. This mission, this calling, it wasn't just about helping people. It wasn't about saving the world. It was about sacrificing everything. The people you loved, the world you knew, everything you held dear. Could it all be lost in the process? The power you had been given was immense, undeniable. You could do incredible things, change lives, heal the broken. But every action, every choice, was leading you toward a destiny you weren't sure you were ready for. Could you really embrace the role of the chosen one? Could you wield this power, knowing it might tear apart everything you've ever known? Could you sacrifice your humanity, your connections, just to fulfill a greater purpose? The weight of it settled on you, and for the first time, you questioned everything. What if I'm not meant to do this? What if this power is too dangerous, too destructive? But there was no turning back now. The choice had been made. Or had it? The first crack in the world you thought you knew appeared when you started digging deeper into your past. You thought the pieces would fall into place. You thought you understood your purpose. But the more you searched for answers, the more unsettling the truths became. It wasn't a person you trusted, like a mentor guiding you. No, it was something far darker, far more insidious. He wasn't just someone you looked up to. He was your father. You never questioned him, not even when things didn't make sense. He was always there, watching over you. He was the one who set you on this path, the one who told you that you were destined for greatness, that you were the chosen one. Your father, the man who raised you, who taught you the values of strength, sacrifice, and duty. He was supposed to be your protector, your guiding light. But then, you found something hidden, deep in the recesses of your family's history. You had never seen it before, buried behind layers of false memories and carefully constructed lies. It started with an old yellowed journal that you discovered in a locked drawer, something your father kept hidden from you your whole life. As you flipped through the pages, you felt a chill crawl up your spine. The journal wasn't just a family heirloom. It was a record of a secret, a plan. Your father had been using you all along, carefully manipulating your every move, training you for a mission that had nothing to do with the salvation of the world. The mission wasn't about saving people. It was about destroying them. You weren't chosen to heal or protect. You were chosen to bring forth an ancient and malevolent power, one that would unravel everything humanity had ever built. The deeper you read, the more your heart raced. Your father had known exactly what he was doing. He had been planning this for years, since your birth. You were never meant to be a hero. You were meant to be the vessel, the key to unlocking a power so dark it could destroy everything. As you pieced it together, you realized the truth was worse than you could have imagined. Your father wasn't just a man who wanted power. He was a maniacal force of control, willing to sacrifice everything, including his own blood, to awaken the power that slept beneath the surface of the world. You weren't his son in the way you thought. You were his instrument. All of the love he had shown you, all the lessons, the wisdom, the belief that you were special, it was a lie. The love he gave you was part of the manipulation. His plan was to shape you into the perfect candidate to awaken an ancient entity, a force so powerful it would reshape reality as you knew it. He had used your loyalty, your trust, and your own sense of duty to drive you toward this final moment. The mission wasn't about saving anyone. It was about awakening a power that would bend the world to his will. And you were the key. Everything you believed in, every piece of advice he gave you, every reason you thought you had been chosen, it was all part of a darker scheme, a twisted game of manipulation and control. Now, with the knowledge of the truth crashing over you, the question echoed in your mind: how could you stop him? You had been set on a path where every choice you made led you closer to unleashing something that could tear the world apart. Your father had planned it all, and now you stood at the precipice. Could you turn back? Or would the darkness he had set in motion consume you too? You had to act, but what was the right choice now? The truth weighed heavily on you, pressing down until every breath felt labored. You had once thought of this mission as a calling, a divine purpose that would bring about great change. But now it felt more like a chain, each link pulling you deeper into something you couldn't escape. The more you tried to fight it, the tighter it wrapped around you. The power, once a source of hope, now felt like a curse, an unshakable burden that would destroy everything you cared about. At first, it was small things, the way people around you started to react to the energy you were emitting. The energy of someone who had seen too much. Your family became uneasy. Your friends began to withdraw, unsure of who you had become. The familiar warmth of love and comfort seemed so far away now. There was no place to hide from the pull of this dark mission. You couldn't turn it off. It was part of you now. You tried to reach out, tried to explain, to pull back to the world you once knew. But each attempt only brought more chaos. Your closest friend, the one you thought you could trust above all others, was now in the crossfire. You had promised them, promised yourself, that you would keep them safe from the darkness that was closing in. But you couldn't. You couldn't protect anyone, not even them. It happened one night when they came to you in desperation, their face twisted in fear and confusion. "What's going on with you?" they demanded, their voice trembling with frustration and fear. "What have you gotten us into?" Your heart sank. You knew exactly what they meant. They had felt it too, the ripples of destruction you had unintentionally caused. They had seen the lives affected by the choices you made, the pain caused by your actions. They had witnessed it firsthand. But you didn't have the answers. You didn't know what was happening, only that it was growing stronger, harder to control. The power within you had a will of its own, a force you couldn't fully understand, but could feel tugging you toward a goal you didn't want to fulfill. The closer you got to the mission's climax, the more lives you seemed to destroy. Every choice, every attempt to act for the greater good, only made everything worse. "I'm trying," you said, your voice hollow, barely a whisper. "I never wanted this. I never wanted to hurt anyone." But it was too late for apologies. The damage was done. They were already caught in the storm you had unleashed. You watched as the fear in their eyes grew. The once familiar trust between you was shattered, replaced by an uneasy silence. "You don't even realize it, do you?" they said quietly. "This power, it's not just changing you. It's destroying everything around you." Their words pierced your chest like ice. They were right. You had been so focused on the mission, on the idea that you were chosen for something greater, that you never stopped to question the cost. The lives, the relationships you took for granted, they were being torn apart as collateral damage. The worst part was that you could feel it happening. You could see the effects ripple outward, affecting everyone you loved. And the more you tried to step back, the more you tried to protect them, the worse it became. The closer you got to fulfilling your purpose, the more chaos followed. It wasn't just your friend who was paying the price. Your family, your mother, who had always been your safe haven, was growing sick with worry. She didn't understand why you were changing, why you were so distant, so cold. Your father, a man you had always admired, was now a shadow of himself, consumed by an unknown fear. They were trying to reach you, trying to pull you back from the edge, but it was too late. They couldn't save you. And every time you tried to explain, to make them understand, it only pushed them further away. They couldn't see what you were seeing. They didn't know the weight you carried. The burden of the divine mission was tearing your world apart. The very people you had sworn to protect, the ones you loved most, were the ones suffering the most. As you sat there, staring at the faces of those you cared about, your friend, your family, your heart was consumed with guilt. You couldn't protect them from this. You couldn't stop the darkness from spreading. It was too powerful, too overwhelming. Every decision you made, every step you took toward the end of this journey only led to more destruction. You closed your eyes, trying to fight back the tears. What have I become? The realization hit you harder than anything else. You weren't just caught in a mission anymore. You were consumed by it. The path forward seemed to close in on you, suffocating you with each passing second. The chaos around you grew worse. You could feel the anger, the confusion, the fear building up in the people you loved. They were starting to turn away from you, not because they didn't care, but because they couldn't handle the weight of the world you had brought down on them. It wasn't just a mission anymore. It was a curse you couldn't break, no matter how hard you tried. You wanted to stop. You wanted to walk away and leave it all behind. But there was no escape. The path was set. The mission was nearly complete.
and you were powerless to change it. Every step you took felt like you were walking toward your own destruction, and yet you couldn't stop. Because deep down, you knew there was no turning back now. And that was when you realized the true cost of being chosen. The world, your world, would be the price. The people you loved would be the ones who paid for your destiny. The walls were closing in. Every decision, every choice felt heavier than the last.
There was no way to run, no way to hide. And the closer you got to fulfilling your mission, the more you lost. Was it worth it? Could you still save anyone? Or was it too late to fix the damage you had done? As the world you knew collapsed around you, the only thing you could hold on to was the haunting question that echoed through your mind over and over. Was I ever truly chosen for this? Or was I just used as a pawn in a game I didn't even understand? The tension was unbearable. The darkness was closing in, and you, the chosen one, were now standing at the very edge of the abyss. The realization crept up on you slowly, almost imperceptibly, but when it hit, it was like a thunderclap in your soul. For so long you had believed in the narrative your father had painted for you. You had believed in your mission, that you were the chosen one, chosen to heal, to protect, to guide the world toward a better future. Every part of you had been consumed by this idea. You had sacrificed so much, your peace, your relationships, your very self, because you believed in the greater good. But now, as you sat there, surrounded by the remnants of your father's hidden journals, everything you thought you knew began to unravel. The words in the books began to blur together as your mind raced, trying to make sense of what was happening. The cold sweat on your brow was only matched by the panic swelling in your chest. The deeper you read, the clearer the truth became. You had been lied to. The mission you thought was about saving people was never about that at all. It wasn't about peace or healing. It was about unlocking something ancient, something so powerful, it could not only change the world, it could destroy it. And you had been the chosen one to release it. The pages in front of you were now a blur, but the phrase that stood out to you like a flashing red warning sign was the one that stopped your heart. The chosen one is the key to awakening the ancient power, the one who will unlock the door to destruction, to chaos, and to the end of all things. It took a moment for your mind to process the weight of the words, but when it clicked, everything else fell apart. Your entire life had been built on a lie. Your mission was never about saving anyone. It was about unleashing something so ancient and terrible that it could erase the very fabric of reality. The power you had been given, the power that had felt like a gift at first, was not meant to heal. It wasn't meant to protect. It was a force of destruction. You were the vessel, the key to releasing this ancient power from its prison. And once it was free, nothing would stand in its way. Not you, not your family, not the world. Your hands trembled as you read the journal, each page confirming your darkest fears. The mission wasn't just about making difficult choices. It was about embracing a fate that would tear apart everything you ever loved. You weren't chosen to be the savior. You were chosen to bring the world to its knees. The power that had been lying dormant for centuries was ready to be awakened, and you were the one who would awaken it. How could you have missed it? Your father, the one you had always trusted, had known this all along. His role in your life hadn't been to guide you toward salvation, but to prepare you for this. He had groomed you, shaped you into the perfect vessel for a power that could wipe out entire civilizations. He hadn't been a father. He had been a manipulator, using your love and trust to carry out his own dark agenda. The sickening truth slammed into you. Everything you had thought about your destiny, everything you had been working toward, was a trap. Your purpose wasn't to heal the world or protect the innocent. It was to break it.
The ancient power was waiting, dormant, locked away for centuries, and you were the key to its release. You were meant to free it.
And once it was freed, there would be no stopping it. How could you go on? How could you face the people you loved, the ones you had sworn to protect, knowing that you were the one who would destroy everything? Your mind raced. What did this mean for me? What did it mean for the world? But even as the panic set in, something inside you began to stir. The power. It was awakening. You could feel it deep in your bones. It was calling to you, pulling at you. The force that had been hidden from the world for centuries was now within your reach, and you were the one who had the power to unleash it. A cold shiver ran down your spine as you realized how much you had lost, how much you would lose. The truth was devastating. You had been the instrument of the world's undoing all along. The choice was never about saving anyone. It was about setting something free, a force so dark it could tear apart the very fabric of existence. But now you were at a crossroads. You couldn't escape the power inside you. It was a part of you now, a force that was too strong to deny. You knew that once you unlocked it, there would be no going back. There was no turning the tide of destruction once it had begun. The question wasn't whether you could stop it. It was whether you had the strength to control it, or whether it would consume you like it had consumed everything else in its path. In the stillness of that moment, as you sat surrounded by your father's twisted plans, the weight of your choices pressed on you. The journey you had thought was about saving the world was really about preparing for the end. Your fate had never been in your hands. It had been written long before you were born. And now, you had to face the consequences. The ancient power you had been chosen to unleash was waiting. It was waiting for you to unlock it. The question was, could you stop it once it was free? Or had the world already been condemned the moment you took the first step down this path? The truth was clear now, and it was a truth you could never undo. You were the key. You were the one who would decide the fate of everything, and you had no idea what would happen once the door was opened. And that thought, that terrifying truth, was the last thing you felt before the power surged within you once more. The moment of truth had arrived. You stood at the precipice, staring into the abyss of your own fate, unsure whether to step forward or turn away. The power inside you was undeniable now, thrumming beneath your skin, a constant hum in your veins. It had awakened fully, and you could feel it, the ancient force that had been dormant for centuries, waiting for you to set it free. It was like an animal waiting to be unleashed, but the question loomed, would you be the one to free it? Every step you took felt like a weight too heavy to carry, but you could not stop moving. The world around you was on the brink of collapse, the very earth beneath your feet trembling as if it sensed the tension in your heart. You could see it all, the devastation, the destruction, the faces of those you loved, all consumed by the force you were about to release. Your friend, your family, even strangers, all caught in the fallout of your decision. You knew what the mission demanded. You knew what it would cost. It was the only way to fulfill your destiny, to unleash the power that had been waiting for so long. But as you stood there on the edge of the abyss, you had to ask yourself, is it worth it? You felt it, the pull, the need to step forward, to unlock the ancient power, to fulfill the mission you had been destined for. Everything in your life had been leading to this moment, and it felt like a call you couldn't ignore. It was a calling so strong, so all-consuming, that every fiber of your being screamed at you to give in to it. But then, there was the other side, the side that wanted to run, to hide from what you knew had to happen. You could walk away, leave it all behind, and let the world fall apart. You could deny the calling, walk away from the mission, and save those you loved, even if the rest of the world would suffer. The faces of your family flashed before your eyes. Your mother, whose love had always been your foundation, now uncertain and fearful. Your friend, terrified by the choices you had made, but still there, still by your side. They were waiting for you to make the decision, but in their eyes, you saw the hope, the belief that you could still choose a different path. It wasn't just about you anymore. It wasn't just about fulfilling some divine calling or unlocking the power inside you. It was about them, the people you cared about, the ones who had been dragged into this madness with you. And the weight of that responsibility crashed down on you. Your heart pounded in your chest, and the power inside you began to surge, a visceral reminder of what you were about to do. The pull of destiny was almost unbearable, and you could feel the world around you tremble in anticipation, as if it was holding its breath, waiting for you to make the choice. Your father's words echoed in your mind, the promise he made that you were the chosen one, the one who would bring forth this ancient power. But the truth was clear now. He had never cared about the world. He had never cared about saving anyone. He cared only about the power, about his own control, his own twisted version of what the world should be. And you? You had been a pawn in his game. The power that had been placed inside you, the force that would change everything, wasn't a gift. It wasn't a blessing. It was a curse, and you were the one who had to decide whether to embrace that curse, to release it, to fulfill your father's plans, or to reject it and let everything crumble beneath you. The world was waiting for your decision, your choice. And in that moment, everything you had ever known seemed to disappear. Your mission, your past, your identity, all faded into the background. All that was left was the choice in front of you. With a deep breath, you closed your eyes, allowing the storm of emotions to wash over you. You could hear the whispers of the power within, urging you to let it go, to release it, to allow it to flow through you. You could feel the earth tremble beneath you, the ancient energy ready to burst forth at your command. But in that moment, you remembered something your mother had said when you were young. You always have a choice, even when it feels like you don't. The truth was, you did have a choice. And now, more than ever, it was clear. You could either embrace your role as the chosen one, the one who would unlock the ancient power and bring about the end, or you could turn away from it. You could refuse to become the harbinger of destruction and fight for what was left. But to do that, you would have to sacrifice everything, your power, your destiny, and everything you had believed in. You would have to face the wrath of the forces that had been working behind the scenes, waiting for you to step into your role. Tears stung your eyes as you thought of the people you would lose, the lives you would destroy. Every part of you wanted to turn away, to run, to make the right choice. But in your heart, you knew there was no easy way out. There never had been. Your hand hovered over the ancient relic in front of you, the key to unlocking the power. The moment was now. The power, the truth, it was all within reach. You had a choice. In that breathless moment, with your heart pounding in your chest, you made your decision. With trembling hands, you stepped forward, and as the power surged within you, you felt the world around you tremble. There was no turning back now. The choice had been made, and you would live with the consequences for the rest of your life. The world and your soul were about to change forever. The air around you crackled with energy as you made your decision, the power surging through your veins like wildfire. You had chosen. There was no turning back now. The moment you stepped forward, the ancient force within you roared to life. It was as if the earth itself was shaking beneath your feet, trembling at the release of something so powerful, so ancient, that the world could barely comprehend it.
Your eyes burned with the intensity of it, your heart pounding with the knowledge that your choice had set something irreversible into motion. You had unlocked the power, released it from the prison it had been contained in for centuries, and now you could feel it, like an animal stretching its wings after years of confinement. The world trembled. Everything you had feared, everything you had tried to avoid, was happening before your eyes. The sky darkened, swirling with unnatural clouds, the winds howling as if the very atmosphere was protesting. The ground cracked beneath you, and the world seemed to be on the verge of breaking apart. The force of the ancient power surged from you, as if it had always been inside, waiting to be set free. But it wasn't the world that changed first, it was you. You felt the power course through your body, filling every fiber of your being. It was intoxicating, overwhelming, a rush like nothing you had ever experienced. You could feel the darkness within, the power that would reshape everything. And in that moment, you realized that you would become something else. You weren't just the chosen one anymore.
You were the vessel, the conduit for something far greater, something that had no care for human life, for love, for anything other than its own hunger. The faces of your family and friends flashed in your mind, their voices echoing in your head. "What have you done?" they seemed to ask. "This wasn't the choice we wanted for you." You tried to hold on to the remnants of your humanity, tried to fight the flood of power coursing through you, but it was too much. The world around you blurred into chaos as the power threatened to consume everything you once knew. And then, a voice broke through. "You've made your choice," it said, not with malice, but with a finality that struck you to your core. The voice was cold, familiar, but it wasn't your own. It was your father's. He had been waiting for this moment all along, didn't he? The realization hit you like a cold wave. He wasn't just guiding you. He had orchestrated this entire thing, this moment where you would release the ancient power, and now you would be its slave. You felt it, deep in your soul, the truth you had been avoiding. The moment you unleashed the power, you didn't just set it free, you became it. You were no longer just a person, a chosen one. You would become the embodiment of everything that had been sealed away for centuries. Destruction, chaos, the end of all things. But even then, even with the power threatening to destroy you, a part of you fought back. There was still a glimmer of the person you used to be, the person who cared, the person who loved, the person who wanted to save the world. And in that moment, you realized that the true cost of your decision wasn't just about the world, it was about you. The power you had released didn't just affect the world, it affected your very essence. It consumed your soul, twisted it, leaving behind only a shell of the person you once were. You could feel your identity slipping away, like sand through your fingers, your thoughts clouded by the overwhelming surge of dark energy inside you. What had you sacrificed? The world was falling apart around you, but what hurt more was the realization that you were losing yourself in the process. You had chosen the mission, the ancient power, over everything, and in doing so, you had lost yourself. The people you cared about, the life you once knew, it was all slipping away. It wasn't just the world that was being destroyed. You were being destroyed too. As the chaos around you grew, you were faced with a crushing decision. Could you undo it? Could you save what was left of your soul? Or was it already too late? And then, in the deepest part of you, you felt it, the final twist. The cost of this power, the price you had paid, was more than you could have ever imagined. The destruction wasn't just physical. It wasn't just the end of cities or the death of innocence. The true cost was yourself. The power you had released had taken root within you, and it was no longer something you could control. You had become its slave, its vessel. It was no longer about saving anyone. It was about survival. It was about keeping the darkness from fully consuming you.
But even as the destruction rained down, you understood one thing. You couldn't go back. You couldn't take back the choice. You couldn't undo the power you had set loose. The world was going to change, and so were you. No one would ever be the same again. Not you, not your loved ones, and not the world. And as the dust settled, you realized the devastating truth. In trying to save the world, you would become the very force that would destroy it. The final twist wasn't just the power you had unleashed. It was the realization that you were now the consequence of your own actions, the destroyer of everything, including yourself.
As the world teetered on the edge of collapse, you were left standing alone in the wreckage, the weight of your decision hanging heavy over you. The mission had been a lie. Your power, your calling, it had all led to this. And now, with nothing left to lose, you had to face the haunting truth. There was no going back. The world around you is broken, shattered. The weight of your decisions presses down on you like an unrelenting storm. The power you unleashed still thrums inside you, a constant reminder of the cost you've paid. It's not just the destruction, not just the chaos that surrounds you. It's the loss, the people you loved, the life you once knew. All of it, gone. You stand alone now, in the middle of a world you helped destroy. The dust settles in the air, thick and heavy, and all around you the ruins of your choices lie scattered in the silence. The earth beneath you feels cold, distant, as if even the world itself is mourning what has been lost. You thought you were meant to be the savior, the one to heal, to bring light into the darkness. But instead, you became the force that brought the darkness itself. How many times had you imagined this moment? How many times had you told yourself that you were the one who would make the difference? That you were the one chosen to change the world? You had sacrificed so much for this. Your happiness, your relationships, your peace. You thought it would all be worth it. You thought you'd emerge victorious, having saved the world from the brink of ruin. But now, standing amidst the devastation, you realize the cold, hard truth. There is no victory here, no celebration. The world is in ruins, and you are its architect. Your thoughts drift back to the faces you've lost, the people who trusted you, who believed in you, who loved you. You see them in your mind's eye, each one torn apart by the consequences of your choices. Your mother, once filled with warmth and love, now an empty shell of worry and grief. Your friend, the one who had always been by your side, now broken, lost in the chaos. You never wanted this. You never wanted to be the one to destroy them. But you did. You were the cause of it all. As the last remnants of your mission fade into the past, a new truth settles over you. You didn't just lose the world, you lost yourself. The person you once were is gone. The hope, the dreams, the person who believed they could make a difference. All of it has been swallowed by the very power you sought to control. You look up at the sky, clouded, dark, and endless. The world has changed, and so have you. The person who once stood before this journey, eager and full of hope, is now a shadow of themselves. And the worst part? You're not sure who you are anymore. You're no longer the person you thought you'd be. The chosen one is a title, an identity that no longer fits. You have become something else, a broken soul bound to an ancient, unfathomable power. And now, in the silence of a world undone, you realize the mission was never about saving anyone. It was about releasing the power that had been waiting for so long. You were the vessel, the tool for its destruction. A haunting thought lingers, cold and unshakable. What if I had chosen differently? What if I had turned away, walked away from this destiny? But it doesn't matter now. The choice has been made. The consequences are irreversible. And as you stand there, alone in the ruins of your decisions, the only thing that remains is the weight of what's lost. The power you unleashed is still within you, but it's no longer a gift. It's a curse, an endless reminder of what you gave up. The camera lingers on you, silent, the wind blowing through the desolation. The world is quiet, broken, and still. You're left with the faintest echo of your past self, the person you were before the power, before the mission, before it all went wrong. In the distance, the faintest glimmer of light flickers through the dark clouds, as if the world itself is trying to heal. But you know it's too late. The world is forever changed, and so are you. There's no going back now. You've sacrificed it all, your humanity, your world, your soul. And now, with nothing left to lose, you can only look ahead into the future, wondering if anything will ever be the same, or if you'll always be haunted by the cost of your choice. The haunting silence wraps around you like a cold shroud as the video fades, leaving only the question, was it worth it?